In a world like none other, there comes one man in search of plastic, in search of cons. He is known as Plasticon. Join him as he brings toys from another dimension to a household near you.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Plasticon thing. I got another cool thing I'm going to talk to you guys about. As you guys know, the Tokyo Toy Show is going to be going on this weekend, and we got some pretty interesting stuff. We haven't really got any other updated pictures about this, but it's a very, very interesting toy that's going to be coming out. What I'm talking about is obviously the crossover of Transformers, Diaclone, and Zoids. This particular thing is this picture brought to you by TFW 2005, but this is a Optimus Prime that turns into the Shield Liger, and it's very, very neat. I don't know if you guys have ever owned any Zoids toys ever, but some of the Zoid toys are pretty neat. This is a picture of one of the ones that had come out some time back, and as you guys can tell, there's a lot of things that go on with just a Zoid itself. Usually the armor is removable. These are pretty much kits. Half the time you have to build these. I don't know if this is going to be the case with this particular one. The older Zoids all had some kind of motor mechanism in them, so that way they could actually walk on their own. If you guys notice, there's a lot of translucent plastic on the inside of them, so that way they kind of have like a light piping light up situation. And with it being the Shield Liger, it should have the blades that flip out on the sides, and it's just kind of a thing. Now, getting into the pilot portion, this actually holds two pilots. It'd be really neat to see this particular one that Takara is making do the same thing. Now, eagle eye people out there will notice there's a tiny motorcycle down here with a Diaclone driver. I would assume this motorcycle probably has some way of integrating into the robot, much like the other Diaclone toys have in the past. A big thing dealing with Diaclone toys is these things are loaded with gimmicks. I'm going to look at the Dia Battles, also known as Kingdom, and this particular toy here broke down into 3 different components, and it also still retained a motoring function for the head to be motorized to pop up. As the cockpit would recess, the head pops up. And I'm wondering if they're going to do a very similar thing. Now, it probably will not have the capability to completely change what it looks like, but it might, considering Dia Battles had a huge play pattern, to the point that they actually made expansion packs that will allow you to change it up as much as you wanted to into different designs. The great thing about Dia Battles is versatility. It was able to have different versions of the same toy, a lot of different playing functions. So the question is this going to be a parts forming Liger? Is this going to be a vehicle that just has a couple components that pop off? Will it house 2 drivers in the actual cockpit? Because if you notice, other eagle-eyed people will actually look. This alternative little vehicle here that's flying around in the back, I would assume this has fold-up cannons, so that way it can integrate into the back as a cockpit, and probably has some ability to flip out maybe the blades that the Shield Liger has, It'd be really cool to see this. I also noticed there isn't a cockpit back there, so if this only comes with one Diaclone driver, that's fine. I don't see an issue with that. Considering a lot of people that are going to be picking this thing up, yeah, you may be a Transformers fan. This is a very Victory Leo look, but done as, you know, Zoids and Diaclone, and it's a very, very interesting look at a toy that had a lot of potential back in the day, and we were all thought, you know, I know years ago when I messed with Zoids, I always thought it'd be cool if they had an ability to be able to stand up on their own like this, kind of like a normal robot. I never really thought about replacing the entire head. I always thought maybe the head is the head to it, not necessarily becoming a chest piece. But with the transformation look here, yeah, it looks like it just stands up, but that's fine, especially if it retains a mechanized walking gimmick and maybe even a gimmick where the head pops up with the motorized function. I would love to see all this in this toy. I hope that does happen. Now, that being said, a lot of people that are into Diaclone, it is definitely one of those things that's really hard to get into when it comes to price point. Price point, I can see this thing literally probably going for $200 cash, or maybe $250. Considering a lot of people do the Masterpiece Transformers and such, you guys will probably be the ones that will allow, you know, have the money to be able to fork toward this. And I honestly think size-wise, this is probably going to be more on par with the Dia Battles. It may be a little bigger, but I don't see it being any larger than this. The reason I'm saying this is because if you make it too big, it really isn't going to be that fun of a experience, especially if it doesn't have any swapping of parts. Now that's the big thing dealing with Diaclone, is the fact that you can take bits and pieces from all different Diaclone vehicles and basically smash them together and create your own world out of them. Diaclone is one of those things that, yes, everybody's very familiar with the Car Robo side, but whenever you get into the more of the space stuff that came well before the Car Robo, is a completely different ball game. Diaclone inspired many robot toy lines out there, and honestly are pretty much the pinnacle as far as I'm concerned when it comes to gimmicks being put into toys the correct way and having an enormous play pattern. Play pattern is key when it comes to these toys nowadays. Now, I know a lot of people are really into this collecting type of thing, and I find it amazing. But with it being a very niche type of thing, I'm not really sure where this is going to go. I know Synergix is really an interesting line. I think it's awesome that Takara are doing these. But this particular one here, I can see it actually being a very pricey bot. If you guys won't be surprised to see $250 to $300 on this toy easily, because Diaclone is a very expensive line to get into. It's a very niche line to get into, and that's why it's probably not going to have the huge widespread of product out there as it would more or less like the Godzilla crossover with Transformers that I talked about just recently. This one I can see more of a lower amount of them being made, considering it's really expensive to get into this line. That is why the Great Robot base, when it was made, the version 2 that had come out, that thing is separated into 2 entire toys, so that way you can combine them together to make the big base. The reason being is because the price would be astronomical to create that entire thing in this day and age with all the gimmicks that it has to be affordable for a collector to buy. So that is my thoughts on a lot of the awesome stuff we got going on with this Liger and Transformers crossover. What I'd like to do is see more of these in the future. I would actually like to see maybe a return of the Car Robo, but integrating somehow into the current version 2 Diaclone line. But it's one of those things, like I said, I personally won't be able to afford, but this is a very, very awesome piece, and I'm glad to see a lot of people that are super excited to see this thing come out. This is probably the most exciting thing that has come out of this line, and I know a lot of people out there that are wanting to complete their Transformer collection. This will definitely be one of them that would just fit into the line itself. I do want to thank you guys for watching and taking your time out of the day to do that. I'm also going to plug, I do have a Patreon, I do have a YouTube membership, so if you guys keep this up, I'm going to keep cranking out content, because that is my goal, is to crank out daily content for you guys. If you guys have any suggestions, please put them in the comments down below of anything you would like to hear me talk about and bring up, and let's just keep collecting and enjoy the hobby. And this has been Plasticon, and this is me signing off. Peace out, y'all. See you around. Bye.